But as you think about being a good, outstanding, successful, long-term Gia dealer, I want you to consider these 5 strategies. So here we go. Okay, first one is think strategically. I'm going to give you a couple things to consider in that regard, but we do have to think bigger about the market. Where is it headed? I'll stand in front of you and tell you, I hope you don't think it's out of school. Deere is one of my biggest clients, has been for years. Okay, but if I'm really serious about the ag equipment rolling stock, ag equipment space, if I'm really serious about being good at that 10 years from now, Dan and I talked about this, we have got to have a strategy for Mahindra. And I see some of you going, Mahindra? You mean those crappy little red Indian tractors? Is that what you're talking about? You understand they're already the biggest in the world as far as number of units. They just don't sell them here, right, in North America. They just don't do that, right? But that doesn't mean long term they won't be a, if not the, major player in that space. That's thinking strategically about a market. Target your business development. I want to get real serious about that. Where and how and with whom are we going to really grow our business? And I would tell you, I don't believe growth is an option for the dealer of the future. For the rock star dealer, I don't think growth is an option. Dare to be different. Some of you in the room have already got that one nailed. All seriousness though, what do we do to show up differently in this really crowded space? There's a lot of people out there that say they can milk cows. Fair statement? Now, they may not do it as well as you do, right? Or as efficiently as you do, or have the newest technology that you do, but do they milk cows? Absolutely. Oh, and then we got those guys on the other side that have been in the robotic side of things for a while. We're first to the party, right? And guess what their message is to when you come in? Well, you know, we've already been here, done that. We kind of know how to do it, right? So we're going to ask you to think about how do we be different? Then how do we get ourselves positioned? And then finally, are we relevant in this continually crowded space? So those are the questions that we're going to ask you to consider. So let's rock on, rock stars. Okay, some questions for you to think about. And again, just got some questions from time to time. Then we got a couple of exercises we're going to ask you to think about as well. Here we go. Direction. Where's the business trying to get to long term? And I mean that very, very sincerely. If it indeed is your strategy to build a business that it is strong enough to sell, start thinking about what that needs to look like today. If indeed, on the other hand, it is your strategy to grow this business for someone that you've already identified as a successor, make sure that you're doing those things to cause that to happen today. But first things first, where are we trying to get to? What's success look like? In fact, let me ask you all just to think about this question. Okay? I want you to think about your dealership, and then you can write down your answer. Here we go. Everybody ready? Complete this sentence. We will be successful by 2022 if. If you're here with somebody else from your dealership, talk about your answer. Give you a couple of minutes. We will be successful by 2022 if. If we've sold the business and are living in Puerto Vallarta, it's an option. If we've doubled in size, if we finally sold Smith Dairies, whatever your answer is, doesn't matter. But it is a critical question. You would be amazed how many people, by the way, businesses of all types, have never asked themselves that question. What's success look like? Gia has to ask themselves the same question. By 2022, we'll be successful if. Everybody got your answer? Pretty critical. By the way, one other comment. Those of you, as you're working with producers, fabulous question to ask them. Complete the following sentence for me. And by the way, you can do it both ways. You can do it this year, right? So we'll be successful by the end of 2017 if. But the other one is, we'll be successful by 2022 if. And just shut up and listen. It is amazing what people will tell you. I was on a farm the other day, and this one was primarily a crop farm with a retailer. I do a lot of ride with, do a lot of coaching rides with salespeople and managers. So we're talking to this guy, and our whole intent was to find out future plans. So we asked him some version of that question, and here was his response. Well, tell me what Shane does. What? What's a Shane? Shane's his kid. Shane was a freshman in college. Right now, we're running about 3,500 acres. They didn't have any livestock, running about 3,500 acres. You tell me, if Shane comes back, I believe we're going to have to be at least 5,500. If Shane doesn't come back, we're going to go to 1,500 in a heartbeat. As his supplier, would that be important to know? Just a little bit. So this is a great question, by the way, and I've never found anybody be offended by it. Because, again, they get to complete the sentence, right? It's up to them. So, again, we'll be successful if. It's a great, great thing to think about. All right, let's move on. Scope. In what markets are we going to compete and in what kind of activities? A lot of you are in both, the manure management side of things and the dairy equipment side of things. Are there others? Are there other geographies that make sense based on what you know? In what ways are we going to perform better than the competition? I know all you old livestock judges in here were never supposed to use the word better, but every once in a while we do that in business, right? What indeed is going to cause that to happen? Resources. What do we have? What kind of internal resources? Skills, assets, finances, relationships, technical competence, facilities, and others that are going to be required for us to compete. But if you want to be strategic, those have to be reality, right? And again, you may say, well, we got a great facility. It's just not in the right spot. Anybody got one of those? You don't have to raise your hand because I know it's true, right? Boy, if I had it to do over, I would have built that thing over there. But again, that's part of our assessment strategically. And then finally, what external factors are going to affect our ability to compete? Regulatory issues are a huge one, right? I will tell you, talk about these farmers is very, very interesting. With a large dairyman, I consider him big. He had 36,000 cows. Is that decent size? Okay, I thought it was, right? Okay, 36,000 cows. Ask him what his biggest challenges were. You won't be surprised, probably. Regulatory compliance, labor, but the third one kind of took me aback. He said, David, my other one really, actually maybe my biggest one is electability. I mean, I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree. I think I know a little bit, but I got to be honest, I wasn't sure where he was going. Electability, tell me more. He goes, oh yeah. He said, every time we're standing in front of whatever commission, fill in the blank, he said, and we're facing those people that are sitting up there, up on the riser in the chairs, and we're telling our story. He said, the problem is all those people behind us, they're usually on the other side. And all those people that are sitting up there, they want to get reelected. Hadn't thought about it that way. But again, you think about it in our society and the way we approach things, that makes a lot of sense. So again, what are those external factors that are going to affect our ability to compete? This is an acre example. In livestock, it's a little bit harder to get the handle around because there's so much consolidation that's already happened. Again, all those hogs that I talked about going into Iowa are going to be owned by about 3 people. A bunch of people have barns, but as far as who controls what happens to those hogs and how they get fed and how they get taken care of, about 3 folks. And you actually know their names. We'll just leave it. I'll let you figure that out. Okay? But here's the question that I asked people during all of calendar 2016. Anybody that I thought might have an idea about this, about change in our market. And this, by the way, is a U.S. and Canada question, but primarily U.S. heavy. All right? Here's the question that I've asked them. And I've asked this of farmers, farm groups. I've asked this of retail groups like yourselves, of dealers of various types. And I've asked this of manufacturers groups as well. Here's the question. So thinking about who controls the acre today. And what I'm talking about is who controls what happens on that acre. What seed is used, how it's fertilized, when it's harvested, all those kind of things. Who controls it? Not who owns it, who controls the acre. When you think about who controls it today, what percentage of acres in your market will be controlled by someone else by the end of 2018? Said another way, that's 2 crop years from now. Okay? Right? So what percentage of the acres will be controlled by someone else other than who controls it today by the end of 2018? What can I do for my customers to add value and differentiate? Very straightforward. We've talked about that. And then what do we need? Skills and tools do we need to become that trusted value partner to our customers? It's interesting. And again, not out of school. It's very public. Deere has a huge push on right now to have agronomy experts at every dealership. Okay? Why is that? Well, one reason why we're not selling any equipment, right? But 2, how to utilize all this technology that we just sold you. Okay? But guess what they're really trying to do? They're trying to become indispensable to that customer. That would be my advice to all of you. What can you do to become indispensable to your targeted customers going forward. I believe that's what the retailer of the future will do. I don't think there's any doubt about it, actually, as we think about the business, okay? So just wanted to share some of those things with you.